Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back with our BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything. We're joined by Jimmie Rivera. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. You?
I need to get me one of those first round management shirts. I've messaged Ibrahim a couple times. I was like, hey, give me a shirt so I can interview your guy. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. It's got the um from it. It's got the balloon, the kid in the back
Oh, perfect.
balloon. It's pretty dope. They had a Halloween. How they have everything.
Are you a big Halloween guy? Like, does the family like Halloween?
Um, nah, my kids get a little scared, especially when we're like Lowe's or Home Depot with all the decorations.
Sure.
They they scurry away. So we they're more of a Christmas ho 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 ho. They look for a ho ho ho.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get the big thing out of the way. We got a big fight coming up. You and I have been working on this fight for over a year. I feel like we I thought we had it at one point, and then it finally got approved. What does it mean to finally get your shot at a title?
I mean, it's a great opportunity to fight in one of the fastest growing non MMA promotions around, and to get a title shot and to bring that belt back to Jersey and advocate for it and get hopefully get my first title defense in New Jersey would be awesome.
Can you tell us, like, I mean, is New Jersey close to signing it? I thought New Jersey was about to be legal with it, but I'm not sure how close it is.
I mean, I feel like the first step is always one of the tri-state areas. So Philly, now it's approved. I feel like it'll slowly go there, and then me being the champ, it would definitely help the cause a lot more for sure.
So, perfect world, you get by Kai, you're uninjured. Is fighting on the Philly card an option for you, or you want to take a little time off? Like, what? I mean, I know it'll be holidays, so with the family and stuff.
I mean, that's never uh like a no. Like if there's a chance to fight in Philly and I'm healthy after the fight where, I could get in and train, I'll definitely do that. I remember like I know it's amateur, but even my first year as an amateur MMA fighter and kickboxer, I did 11 fights in
Oh wow.
12 months. 7 MMA fights and 4 kickboxing fights. So again, anything's possible. I like to stay busy. Ideally, always fighting 3 or 4 times a year is great. Again, though, it all depends on how you are after a fight. What injuries you're dealing with from the fight.
So it seems like the big thing now is international. You had Spain; they're already talking about the beginning of next year. They're going to be going to Italy and fighting in one of the Coliseums. Does that interest you, or are you kind of like being able to fight close to home? So or in the states, so you're close to home to the family, or
No, I mean anywhere. I loved. I mean, it was cool when I fought in the UFC. We went to Brazil, went to Glasgow, Abu Dhabi. Really traveled all over the world, internationally and domestic, and it was awesome. Had a blast, and never against any of that.
okay, so your fighting style and Kai's fighting style is very like your generation. You kind of pioneered it, and now he's like the new generation. How are you guys going to keep this fight from being kind of a stalemate? Like like how are you going to impose your will, but keep it from also being? It has the potential to either be a firefight or it could be boring.
I don't think it's gonna be boring at all. Kai, comes tough kid, comes in with good cardio, but he's not the wrestler I am, and he's not the boxer I am. So I don't think it's gonna be boring at all. The fact that he's gonna be coming forward, and that's something that I love. I love someone just kind of stays in the pocket like that. I think it's gonna be a super exciting fight actually, and I think honestly, like yeah, he's good, but he definitely has some growth to do still. He's young, and where he lacks an experience I have, and from my resume alone explains itself.
So I was just listening to an interview Chris Camozzi did yesterday, and he said like his camp picked up on something that Sawyer did, and they knew the perfect combo for that. Have you guys been able to pick up or pick apart anything that Kai does that like swing the fight in your advantage, or anything that you'll be able to capitalize on?
Yeah, I mean, when you sit down, any fighter, any good fighter, you know what I mean. I guarantee you, Kai's camp sit down, they review tape, watch fights, watch fights, watch fights. All right, this is our game plan. This is another game plan. Kind of break down the fight. So there's always things you could break down. Um, there's always things, holes and stuff like that. And you got to be quick. You got to be quick to adjust your game plan and go on to something else if it's not working. So we've done that. We sat down and went over stuff. Literally the other day, we were just going over a couple of his fights and just watching it. And you watch fights and you watch other guys fight and you see openings and see things that you could take advantage of.
Okay, you helped introduce Mike Trezano to BKFC. Mike had an awesome knockout. Is there anybody else from the Tiger Schulman or your little clique that you see bringing yourself into BKFC?
I was fooling around with the thought of Julio, but Arce, but just because he's been training for me for this camp. So Julio's unbelievable boxer. He's a Golden Ghost boxer. Just unbelievable in the room, unbelievable cardio. So he's been one of my main training partners training for this camp. And I have two other guys that are amateur fighters. Um, yeah, they're both amateur fighters that have been training with me as well for the camp. So they're not there yet, but I brought it to Julio, and Julio was like, I'm gonna stick to MMA. I'm like, okay. So it's not for everybody, and I don't knock anybody that says, hey, it's just not for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, no problem. Like, that's cool. Like, you get it. You seen Luke Rockhold go in there. It's like, not for me. You know what I mean? You see a couple other MMA guys go in there. It's not for them. It's just the way how it rolls.
Did you know right from the start this is for me? Like, could you just tell right away, like, oh, I love this?
I always loved boxing. When we were training for MMA fights, we were always going to the boxing gyms to get our hands better. My grandfather on my mother's side was a Golden Ghost boxer. The attributes of just going in there and just boxing it's awesome. You know what I mean? I enjoy. I always enjoyed boxing, whether it was with gloves or without gloves. I think it's a great concept, a great sport, and I knew already going in there I was gonna like it.
So you floated around 55 and 45. Do you plan on just sticking to 45 going forward, or?
I've been trying to fight 45 for my past couple fights. It just hasn't worked out. Strauss needed more weight. Jeremy Stevens was like, I'm not dropping 45. Did I fight at 45? I think, what's his name? The Russian.
The
Really,
Bexod, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
I think that was my last 45 fight. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to fighting at 45. I'm already like my weight. I checked all days really well. I've been training my ass off for this fight, so it feels good to be back where I should be at 45. It was almost joking. Some of the guys are, oh, you can make 35. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. You're crazy. Like, I'm not. I'm good weight, but I'm not at a good weight to make 135.
So when you are cutting, do you check your weight every day, or is it one of those things? As long as you stick to your diet, you don't want to check the. Like, do you need to keep yourself honest, or?
No, no. I've been eating really healthy. Obviously really clean, but I check it usually like once a week or every other week. And then when it gets closer to like the end of the camp, I make sure double check if I just need to get some more long runs in to cut a little bit more, trim down smaller meals and portions. So I just really to the end of the fight camp, I really make sure I check it, see where I'm at, to make sure I'm good.
Okay, so Kai has been calling you Little Jim, and he's very like anti-cop lately. Does that bother you? Like, I get if you want to call you Little Jim. I don't understand the whole like anti-police thing because it's not like you're a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, but the whole like oh, I'm gonna beat up this cop, and it just seems like very anti-police, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't know if he's just trying to sell a fight or trying to be the bad guy. I mean, this shit doesn't bother me. Honestly, the only time I hear anything is when I do interviews.
Oh,
Interview with BKFC last week, a week before. And he's like, "Oh, did you hear what Kai said?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't really pay attention. I don't troll like that or anything like that." The little Jim I think is funny. I was like, we're doing the standoff, and I'm like, telling my coach we're watching the footage, and I'm like, hey, his last fight we did a standoff. You can see how tall he is. He's not that much taller. I think he's like about 2 to 3 inches taller. And he looked like, oh, great, because there's been times I fought guys like Howard Davis was 6'2". I was
right.
6'2". He's 5'10", and my coach is like, no, he's 6'2". I'm like, no, everybody lies. Like if you look at stats, everybody doesn't have they always add 2 inches to it or whatever. So when we went to face off, we all laughed. I'm like, yeah, he's 6'2". He's fucking tall. So the little Jim thing, no, I'm like, he's not much. Honestly, he's just a little taller than me, but his frame, he looks like a twig. And then with a cop thing, I have no idea. You know what I mean? I don't really know. I don't really care. Um, yeah, I have really nothing to say to either one of them. It doesn't really bother me at all. I always say I always got like anything he says. My teammates, especially Lewis, who was supposed to fight with me on the Connecticut card, I call my work wife. He's
Okay.
always cutting weight, whether it's he's fighting or I'm fighting. We've always been there for each other. I mean, he says worse shit to me. Like that's what Kai's saying is like you'll be learning how to talk shit. You know what I mean? What Lewis says, I'm like, damn, bro. I'm like, you really dig it in. So we always joked around, like I always got my balls busted for being short, and my response was like, yeah, I might be small, but I'm mighty, you know, kind of thing. But nah, not at all. I just think it's funny, and I've heard worse from my teammates.
My graphics guy Carmine, he's a big King Kai fan, but he goes, I'm from New Jersey, so I have to stick with New Jersey. I feel like you Jersey people are very close knit, and you guys are always rooting for each other. Like it feels like I don't know what the bond is for being for Jersey, but you always have each other's back. Can you speak on that?
It's like a brotherhood. It's like the same thing as like, listen, you're a police officer. There's 50, in our department's 52 other police officers. Do you like everyone? No. Do you get along with everyone? No. You know what I mean? There's 52 different personalities. You're not going to get along with every single person. But once you're on a call, push comes to shove, someone starts with your fellow employee, why am I getting coworker? Excuse me. You and it's vice versa. It's a brotherhood. Jersey's always been like that. It's always been like a brotherhood like that. Everybody's always got their back. You find out someone's from Jersey, you're from Jersey. You're like, oh, what's up, man? Where you at? You know what I mean? You start talking about Garden State Parkway. Like, oh, what extra you off on the Garden State Parkway? Where exactly are you at? It's just one of those things, I guess. You could go along lines, analogies like you're a New Yorker. You know what I mean? You're a New York. You're from New York. It's that like kind of New York attitude and stuff like that. You're from Jersey. You always kind of have that brotherhood, even sisterhood. You always, you might not be talking to this person, or you might have been for the first time, but it's that quick bond. Like, hey, what's up? What's going on? It's just a different, I guess, a different way of life, a different persona than compared to other areas in the United States.
They put Brandon Allen on this card also. Do you feel like they put him on the card thinking that, I mean, if he gets a win, do you see him fighting whoever wins between you and Kai?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything of him. Someone asked me about him after my last fight. I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about, to be honest with you. And then I had to look him up afterwards. You know what I mean? I didn't really know all the guys at 45, and
Sure.
that was when I was fighting. He was out for I think a year. I don't know.
15 months. Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know, injury, personal stuff. Not even my place to ask. I just knew
Sure.
he was a while, and I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about. Um, I only knew the couple people that I knew, like Lopez, Davis, Duran, Kai, those top guys that I knew. You know what I mean? And anybody that kind of fought, because I kind of followed along a little bit with most of the guys. Most of the people I followed along was with Kai, whoever he was fighting,
Sure.
obviously, because but yeah, no, it makes sense. I understand why they do it. I mean, he's been on a great streak. Who's he fighting at? Is he fighting Lopez?
Timmy Mason. Timmy
Mason.
Mason.
But I think Lopez is on the card too, right?
He's fighting Roberto Armas. Yeah. So I believe Timmy, he's from Montana, but yeah. So I mean, I think he's 1-1 in BKFC, but yeah. So I don't know a whole lot about him, but yeah, like I said, Brandon, I know, is coming off a long layoff, and it felt like they were putting him on this card, and that if he gets a win, clearly to challenge whoever wins your guys' fight.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the guy was like what 6-0 right now or something like that.
He's got one win. Yeah, he's got, or one loss. One loss. Sorry.
Yeah, well, so he's 6-1, but he's like got a fight streak, right? A winning streak or something like that. 4 fights or 5 fights.
Yeah. He lost his first fight, but he won like his next 4, and I think he's on a 3 knockout. Or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so it makes sense, man. It's a business move. Makes sense.
Okay, so you had said in a previous interview that you see it going the distance. I mentioned that to Kai. He said that they've worked on a whole bunch of stuff, and he sees himself getting a knockout over you. Do you? I mean, you still stand by the distance thing? You guys are both tough and durable. That's I don't know that it does go to a knockout.
Honestly, we would both love to get a knockout. Is that gonna happen? I don't know. I could see it going the distance. You know what I mean? I could see it being, balls to the wall, excitement, nonstop throwing, and just put it on a good show for the fans, and leaving all that blood on the mat. On the canvas. So I could definitely see it going the distance. I'm not really. I guess I'm not looking too far whether it's going to distance or not. I'm just looking to stick to my game plans, what we worked on, and get in there and execute them.
It'll be interesting because Kai usually is able to out cardio people, but now going against, like I said, in this fight, I don't know that he's going to be able to out cardio you. So I feel like this is going to be the best test of his career. And so I'm really excited to look forward to this fight with you guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, that was one of the biggest things we said, like going into this fight. What's his biggest attribute is cardio. So I busted my ass with cardio and nonstop working. I mean, one of the biggest biggest reasons going with Julio, besides he's an unbelievable boxer and a Golden Gloves boxer, who's won it, is that his cardio is just ridiculous. Like he's just got a crazy pace, you know? So it was one of the reasons why I went with him and worked a lot with him during this fight camp. Um, I mean, that's one of the probably his greatest attributes. He could kind of say whatever he wants to say. I think at this point now, I think more than anything, first he's fighting in his hometown, so that brings a lot of nerves, especially if you haven't done it a lot. You know what I mean? He's only had what 7 fights, eight
Right.
fights, one MMA fight, which I don't even know if it was in Montana or not. And then he had obviously the bare knuckle fights. Which has he had any bare knuckle fights in Montana? Maybe one.
I think they've done a couple there, yeah. And his MMA fight was in Utah, I believe.
Oh, okay, so like you when you travel, other places when you fight at home, I feel like there's more pressure on. On top of that, and he's still a new fighter. He's just only had a handful of fights in there. On top of it, going with someone with like my resume, realizing how much what I bring to the table. So it's a really it's a tough fight for him. It's a tough fight for him. I look forward to the fight. You know what I mean? It's a little different. I'm not just a boxer. I've wrestled. I've had the second best takedown defense to John Jones when I was in the UFC. Um, he's got to come in there and figure out how he's going to beat me, because I'm not a boxer where he could just out wrestle what he did with a lot of other boxers. He's going to try to grind. Well, I've been there. I've done that. You know what I mean? I've grinded fights out. I don't mind grinding fights out. And then he's got to try to throw hands with someone that could throw hands. You know what I mean? That can box. So I'm really confident in this fight. I'm really looking forward to it. And I just, can't wait just to get in there and all this hard work that I put in for this fight to take advantage of it and step toe to toe with him and take it to him.
Okay, it's starting to be fall time. How's the homestead going out there? You got all your fall chores and stuff. You ready for winter?
When I'm in fight camp, I don't really do that much around the house here and
Okay,
there. So we're okay right now, I guess you could say. It's not too bad. Today's like almost 80 degrees, like 75, 77, I think it's the high today. So it's just a little bit warmer than it is in Billings, Montana, which I've been looking forward to go. I'm a big fan of the country. Obviously, I live in the middle of the woods and I have a lot of land and I'm not surrounded by any neighbors, any of that. So I'm really looking forward to Billings. I've been kind of checking. We're hoping maybe it would snow a little bit and we could go snowboarding after the fight or something like that. But going back to here, leaves are already coming down. The weather's been crazy though. It's been up and down, warm some days, cold some days. It's still feeling like it's still feeling like just the beginning of fall, where it's really warm during the day and that night it cools off a lot.
sure.
That's where we're at the end of October. I mean, tomorrow's the first day of November, so it's quite interesting that we still got this kind of crazy weather going on, that it's warm. But looking forward to walking around with the kids today, go trick or treating, and I enjoy that warm weather and not being brick out.
I remember as a kid, like back in Colorado, for like our Halloween, we'd always have to wear coats over our costumes, and now it's been so warm, like you don't have to do that anymore. So
Yeah, it's weird. The weather is really weird.
you and your wife are two of my favorite people to follow on Instagram. You guys have such a great sense of humor, and you're always kind of like making jokes. Like, have you guys meshed, since you met, or like, did that take a while to develop?
I've known my wife since I was probably around 10, 11 years old.
Oh
So a
wow,
long time. We actually dated like each other's friends while we were younger, and we kind of just bust each other's balls a lot. Or she'll give me a hard time, but I don't give her a hard time. So it kind of goes uh, back and forth, tit for tat. Um, we just yin and yang. She's exactly what I need. I'm exactly what she needs, and we kind of just go intertwine really well and work it all out. We were talking about bringing the kids out, but since it's such a short trip, and from Montana for kids, there wasn't as many activities for the kids, and we didn't
sure.
want to outside when it's cold. So it's just gonna be her and I going out, besides my coaches and my work wife Lewis. So you know what I mean, we're looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to scenery. The only thing so far I dislike about Montana is that there's no direct flight to Montana.
Right.
That's the only thing. I'm like, I gotta go 4 hours here, layover, then another 4 hours. I'm like, this sucks. Besides that, I've heard so many good things. I'm so excited to get out there. I know people ask, "Oh, you're in his territory." I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. I fought in Brazil against Pedro Munoz. Literally, they're cheering in Portuguese, "You're gonna die." You think fucking going to Montana and Kai's backyard is gonna bother me? Um, so doesn't bother me. I actually wish we could experience Brazil a little bit more when we did go out there, but it is one of those people that they'll rob their own people. So we kind of
Yeah.
just listen. We went out the last day in a large group, but the whole time I was there, kind of just stayed in my hotel room until I had to cut weight and then the fight itself. But listen, they didn't like Americans at all. I went out there, did what I had to do, got the W, and brought it back. I'm looking forward to going to Montana, and I'm honestly looking forward, the scenery. You know what I mean? Just get out there, check it out. Like Salt Lake was awesome just because of that scenery where you're just seeing mountains. It's unreal.
Sure. Okay, buddy. Well, good luck on your fight. Is there any message before we call it a day?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I can't wait to go out and do my thing next week. Tune in for it. It's going to be on Danza, and don't miss it.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck, and we look forward to talking to you after you win.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Good. See you.